Hey guys, Rouge here, and today we're talking about what a karyotype is and haploid and diploid cells. So first what a karyotype is. A karyotype is a type of test, and what the test is going to show is it's going to show your chromosomes. It's going to show the chromosomes in a cell. So a scientist or a doctor that wants to perform this type of test, typically what they would do is they would take their cells, get a sample of cells from their specimen. They would put those under a microscope, and they would just kind of wait, and they would just watch them under the microscope. And what they're waiting for is they're waiting for that cell to start to go through mitosis. Now, why would they have to wait for mitosis to occur? Well, if they're trying to look for your chromosomes, those don't appear until mitosis. So for the rest of that time before, the DNA is in chromatin. Once mitosis starts to occur, that chromatin starts to condense, starts to coil up to form the chromosomes. Once those chromosomes start to show, what's going to happen is he could kind of stop the cell, kind of freeze it from proceeding, and then he's going to put some stain on it. Now, after he puts that stain, he could see the chromosomes, and he's going to start to judge them by their size and their shape. And then he's going to kind of start to match them up. And what he's looking for is he's looking to see, does this cell have the correct number of chromosomes? Does the cell have one extra chromosome? Does it have one less? Are there any issues with the chromosomes that the cells do have? And there's two cell types that we're going to talk about. There's haploid cells, and we say haploid cells have an N number of chromosomes. And then there's diploid. Diploid cells have a 2N number of chromosomes. And if you need help remembering, diploid, di, the prefix di, means 2. So diploid cells have 2N, or 2 times the number of haploid cells. We'll get more into that in just a second. If we take a look at haploid cells, in humans, haploid cells have 23 chromosomes, only 23. Haploid means there's one set of each copy of a chromosome. So there's one chromosome number 1, one chromosome number 2, one chromosome number 3, and all the way down until the 23rd chromosome. There's only one copy of each. So what type of cells are haploids? Well, they're called gametes. And gametes is a special word for sex cells. So anytime you hear gamete, it's referring to either a sperm or an egg cell, okay? Each sperm or egg cell has 23 chromosomes total. And if you do simple math, sperm meets the egg, 23 plus 23 equals 46. And we talked about before, humans have 46 chromosomes. Another thing to mention is every sperm or egg cell is genetically different and unique. No two gametes have the same genetics. They're all genetically different, okay? If we look at this karyotype, if we look at this karyotype of this haploid cell, you notice that it's numbered 1 through 22, and then you have X over here. Now, what's unique about that? Well, chromosomes number 1 through 22, we call those autosomes. And essentially, the easy way to remember it is an autosome determines everything but gender, okay? So when we look at the X chromosome, those are the sex chromosomes. Those could be either X or Y, and that determines if that person is going to be a male or female. Autosomes, excuse me, autosomes pretty much code for everything else but gender, okay? If you look at a diploid cell, they have 2N. So they have the 2N number of chromosomes, and you notice that chromosome number 1 has 2 copies. Chromosome number 2 has 2 copies, 3, 2 copies, so on and so forth, all the way down even to the sex chromosomes. So how do we refer to those 2 copies? Well, if I'm talking about chromosome 10, both copies, we call those homologous chromosomes. Now, what homologous chromosomes are, they're chromosomes that are about the same size, they're the same shape, and they have the same genetic information. So for example, I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm going to make this up. Let's say chromosome 10 at this location has the genetic information for eye color. Well, if I look at the homologous chromosome of this, I'm going to find the same type of information. It doesn't have to be identical. So for example, on this chromosome, I might find the information for blue eyes. However, on its homologous pair, I might find the information for brown eyes. Okay, so it's the same type of genetics. They don't have to be identical though. Where do we get these two pairs from? Well, we get one pair from mom, and we get the second pair from dad. So diploids. Diploids have two sets of chromosomes, and we call those 2N. If I'm talking about the pair, we call those homologous. Again, a homologous chromosome, same size, same shape, and they have the same genetic information. There's one set from mom, one set from dad. So a sperm hits the egg. That gives me a total of 46 chromosomes, enough to make a person. And all cells, if you remember back, the sperm or egg, we refer to those as gametes or sex cells. All the other cell types, those are called somatic cells. So cells of your body, so your hair, your skin, your eyes, cells that make up you, those are somatic cells. And each daughter cell made from the division is genetically identical, like we talked about before. Again, if we look at chromosomes 1 through 22, those are the autosomes. That's all the genetic information to make everything about an individual except their gender. The last two, those are the sex chromosomes. And in this individual, it looks like we have an X and a Y chromosome. So I could tell this is going to be a male. Males have an XY chromosome. Females have an XX chromosome. Now, how do we know that's a Y chromosome over here? The Y chromosome is always going to be an inky-dink little chromosome, little speck, compared to the X chromosome. Okay, there's a lot less genetic information on the Y